Hey y'all, we are back once again, Sunday, May 2nd. It is a sunny day here with RPM, the Red Peace Machine. We've got all our usual cast of characters, Benafsha, Roy War, Roy Peace, and Susie, but we've got someone special poking out today. Who is that?
A hide and seek right there.
Ah!
That's right.
Lando.
That's right.
I loved the reveal.
Yeah.
All right. So what has
How are we
Lando got
doing?
on his mind?
Uh-huh.
I like to play video games.
That's right. That's right. You do, just like any other of the boys around us.
Uh-huh.
And me.
And you.
I play. I'm a player, yo.
That's good.
All right.
All right, how are folks feeling today? Mhm.
Me doing well. Just did some volunteering. Gave out 250 bags to homeless here in Austin, and it was awesome. Yeah, the part of it I miss. Pre-COVID, we were just out there, once every month, giving these bags out. So got to do that again today. Was good. Yeah, felt good.
Awesome.
I was actually
Roy-
wondering, Roy, have they heard about the decision, the vote from yesterday?
Yes. So it looks like the decision did pass. So they did reinstate the homeless ban or the camping ban.
Same
And
thing.
Which is a homeless ban.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what it is. Yeah.
it is what it is. And there's one guy that was we talked to today. He was worried about it. Saying, hey, he was asking, hey, do you guys even know what they're gonna do? And apparently they have a week to deliberate what they're gonna do in the council, and then some time after that to say exactly how it's gonna be executed. So they can change that as needed. Yeah.
There's a whole other fucking show.
Mhm. Yeah.
But who are you? Who do you volunteer with?
But this group is the Austin Atheists Helping the Homeless. And then what is it? Foundation Beyond Belief. From my shirt. Yeah.
Mm.
Foundation
Are those
Beyond Belief sponsors us. Yeah.
who are those? Can you find those on the website? If they go to your website, you'll link over or something.
Facebook is mostly yeah, where we are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all, I'm just gonna watch Lando for the rest of the show.
Exactly.
He's such a cutie pie.
He is. He really is.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, he's opening something up. Oh.
Trying to play Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
Hilarious.
We are familiar with Minecraft.
Yeah.
All right, Ramesh, what are we talking about today?
I think we've got a India update coming, and we are continuing to talk about police violence and brutality. Unfortunately, this has been unfortunately a consistent theme on our show. Kind of fucking awful and tiring. Yeah.
Consistent and not just on our show.
Mhm.
It's been around, and people who say they don't believe in it, like Lindsey Graham, I don't believe in systemic racism. Who is this man? Doesn't he live in South Carolina? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but when has he ever suffered from racism?
Roy,
haven't-
how are
you
you
know
feeling, Roy Peace, with the language that we're using? Are we good with all the
Oh, I'm
F-bombing and
sorry.
stuff? No,
Sorry.
don't worry about it.
Oh.
Let's just.
I don't even think he's paying attention.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah.
I'll be careful. I'm very upset.
The line that came into my head is, "You'll be dead."
Dang.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, some of us are Star Wars and the
I'll be
other Star
careful.
Trek. I'm Wars.
We have a mix. Yeah.
So I guess that's sort of that's more elitism, racism, even though I think the majority, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I don't know, because I don't live downtown, but I live on South Congress, and the majority of the homeless folks down here are white. There are some who are Latino, and there are some who are Black, but the majority of them are white, and I think that's just reflective of what Austin is. but I could be wrong. What about y'all's neighborhoods?
So where I live, mostly people that, off of, where I live, there's mostly white folks. But like when we do our giveaways, closer to downtown, it's a huge Black population, and then Hispanic as well. And then that's, to me, that's like it's a good, not one, I don't want to say a good mix, but it's a mix of races there.
I guess
For
it's
me,
'cause it's
Austin
more
was always
downtown. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, Austin was super striking. It was almost a culture shock when I moved at the amount of white folks, and then a very progressive white folk, right? And then realizing, oh wait, these folks aren't actually as aligned with me as they say they are.
No.
So there was a whole
As the
process there.
57% who voted for Prop B have confirmed. You know,
I think Mike Siegel's tweet was amazing on it, because he said, it's interesting seeing these it's something about seeing these resistance people vote for Prop B. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Right.
that nailed it, because he had a picture of it was like a that sign that says, Black Lives Matter, science is real, da 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 da. It had that in the yard, and it had recall what is her name? Sawant, golly, what's her first name? Sharma Sawant. In Washington, and it was like he had that picture and then he had that tweet with it. And I was like, that's the same thing, exactly.
It's funny y'all are saying this, because a friend of mine in Georgetown, she's an organizer. She actually she's been campaign manager to several folks who have won, incumbents, newcomers, all sorts of stuff. So I think she was running, I don't know how many of the campaigns she was running, but she did a Facebook Live this morning, and the thing that stood out to me most was she was directly, her name is Jaquita Wilson. So directly she is,
I want you to introduce me.
yeah, and she is straight looking at the camera, and she's saying, listen, y'all, you come to me and you say you want things to change, and you pretend, basically, she doesn't use this language, but pretend to be progressives, and I want change, I want this, I want that. You don't. You don't go out to vote, and when you go out to vote, you vote wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Y'all don't want things to change. You just talk. That was what the message. I hope I'm
Oh no, I watched it too, and that was dead on the message.
Yeah, that was what I heard her say.
And we kind of oh my god, I can't find the word. Obscured this when we talked in the way we talked about the Trump election as well, right? We pretended it was this college educated versus not college educated issue, when in actuality it was, very, very race based, right? We pretended
totally race based
education.
For those who are not in Austin or surrounding areas and listening to this, we had an election yesterday. So that's what we're talking about.
And the city of Austin, this so-called progressive city, just 57% voted to basically ban homeless people.
But we'll still enthusiastically.
Actually.
It's a reinstatement, but then it lapsed. And so, so it was there and then it lapsed. And so then they reinstated it. It either lapsed or we voted. I don't remember actually.
No, we got rid of it.
Yeah,
we voted to get rid of it, and then it came back. I guess I have to say it's the city council, and the people who are moving here from, of course, I don't think these are Austinites, honestly, who are voting for this, unless they're just inherently wealthy Austinites. But I think that this is no longer a progressive town. I think this is someone else.
I don't know. I think this town would declare itself progressive and emphatically, right? Everyone, like you were saying, has those signs in their front yards. And I think there's a difference between like a performative progressiveness and then actual values and all of that good stuff. But I think to be a certain member of a certain class in today's America, you have to at least name your progressiveness in a particular kind of way and be pro diversity in a certain kind of way. But does that extend to homelessness? Does that extend to actual, when the push comes to shove? I don't think it does.
No, because it drives property values down, and that's what we're all about, is property in this town. I mean,
what did Matt Makoviak say? people are not going to want to come to UT if they see the homeless on the street. Basically, is what he said. Like, who cares?
Like
You're
Roy
so
just made the point that the drag has been the drag for how many decades, and
I
that
grew
has
up
not
here
kept people
and-
away. Like
No, drag worms never kept people away from that place. I mean,
it was why people came. It's like going to Berkeley. Like I couldn't wait to go back.
yeah,
Are you kidding?
exactly.
And also for the record, we don't have any roads. So if you come here, know that you will not be able to go anywhere. So just
Well,
move to
that's
Austin. You're welcome to come here. I just want you to know you're never going to be able to leave your house because we have no roads.
Aggressively
think-
push for public transportation.
I think people should have to pay a public transportation creation tax if they move here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that should be
like
part of the deal.
$100,000, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
up front.
Up front.
Good. Yeah, no payment
Boom.
plans. I'm sorry. We don't do that. So,
Man.
I mean, really, I mean, what is California right now is taxing people who stay there over 30 days.
So we
Yeah.
got the numbers for the census for Congress. California lost a seat, Texas gained 2 seats.
Two
Mhm.
Republican
So,
seats.
I mean, California lost a seat. That has to be the first time in the state's history that it's ever lost a seat.
without
Yeah.
going underwater.
Yeah.
Without land going
Right.
underwater.
And we know why. We're
Everybody's
now all in
here.
Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas is the only state to gain 2 seats. We gained, was it 4 last time and 3 the time before? So we are now up 9 in the last 3 decades. And the Democratic and Republican states, there was a net gain of 3 seats for the Republicans.
Okay. What happens though, right? When these folks move in, do we redistrict? Do we then re-gerrymander? How do
So,
these?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to redistrict the whole country for this new census map. And based on what happened last time when we got 3 new districts, 3 new districts, what Texas did was they made them all 3 white. And then the Supreme Court came back and said, since the white population and the Latinx population are almost identical in size, you can't make all 3 white. You can only make 2 white.
Yeah.
And forced them to redistrict one of them, but then they never got around to it because they said they ran out of time.
That's how it works.
Yeah, and so, well, you know, the Supreme Court only gave them 4 years to fix it, and that's obviously not long enough.
Oh, only
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, so I'm just assuming these are 2 new white seats. Congratulations.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. They're Republican. They're going to be Republican seats. We cannot fucking win. What's it going to take? We have to end this gerrymandering thing.
Well, I mean, it could, right? We have, you know, we've got to get something done before midterms, right? We have
Yes.
time. We have the ability to. It's the party's fault. To not, if they're not pushing their legislation aggressively at this time period, right? In the next
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
and
let's do the India update. So, because we're
Yes.
running out of time, because today's show has to be a little short.
okay.
So for those of you who have been watching the news and seeing the pictures, I mean, it looks like Armageddon. And I think what it does is it helps. Were you gonna say something, Ramesh?
The fact that it looks like Armageddon and we're showing dead bodies and all this when it comes to India, but we were having such discretion when Italy or New York City were facing similar things, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I think, when the bodies were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan after 2003, well, 2001, we didn't show that. We didn't let the press put those pictures up. I think one of the things, though, that this clarifies is the confusion that people had about whether or not the third world was experiencing COVID, and just, right, this is the age of cell phones. If the third world was being crushed by COVID, we would have seen the pictures. And one of the things that's really remarkable about India was that Modi had turned this into a nationalistic thing, that somehow India had avoided COVID because somehow India was magical and super nation, and he was selling all of the vaccines, and then boom. So what it looks like has happened is there is a new strain of COVID in India that can mask itself to your immune system, so that even if you've already had COVID or you've even been vaccinated, your immune system doesn't recognize it as COVID and it'll hit you again. And that's
It's like Borg COVID.
it's like Borg COVID. Yeah.
Dude, I have an autoimmune disease, so this does not bode well for me.
Yeah, COVID plus. Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, and this is going to continue to happen, right? If we don't have a constant, if we don't vaccinate the globe, if we don't, we're in this together. It's not like we're in these isolated countries where travel is not happening. If we don't let India get vaccines, then it's going to inevitably mutate, new variants, all this, and come back here once again. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we have Bill Gates, right, saying that he didn't want that technology to go out to, lower, just India, countries like that, third world countries. Like, what? That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. How dare we not enforce patents on a largely, public dollar funded vaccine?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the American way, right? We have capitalism, but it's publicly funded capitalism. But if you go into foreclosure, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and we'll make you illegal after you're homeless.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have boots.
Even if you do have boots, I don't care how much you do, you can't pull yourself up by bootstraps. If your boots are on and you grab a hold of those straps, you will not
You're gonna fall over. You're gonna fall over.
You will. It won't work.
So that's gonna hurt too. So I don't want to get away from India, but I did hear about North Korea dealing with COVID. Yonomi Park is she's amazing. She's a defector, and she said that there's actually a middle class uprising happening over there because even the middle class, which isn't saying much, can't get food because they're not allowed out of their homes because of COVID. So they're dying not just of COVID, but of starvation, lack of water, because they'll be rounded up and thrown in prison or shot on sight if they're out of their house. So, I mean, these third world, and I consider them third world, they go dark at night, completely dark. So that for me is third world. But and now he's threatening us, and he's not popular. I mean, there are people actively saying negative things about him in the middle path, which is kind of scary. But maybe something will happen. Like other uprisings. And what about the farmers in India right now? They were having issues too.
Yeah, they were. What is the latest on that? I haven't heard much more from this farmer.
Know. I think COVID may have shut that down.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's just compounded onto what they're dealing with now in Modi.
He's ruined the first name Narendra forever for me. I love that name. It's ruined.
All right, it's been a couple of weeks, or has it been 3 weeks? It's been a couple of weeks since the conviction of,
because we've done two shows that are not quite ready to talk, and now there's this one, so it's 3.
Yeah. What do you all think it means? First of all, why did it happen? Why had it not happened before? And
I mean, it took a police precinct being burned. It took like nationwide protest in every major city. And still it was, just barely there, right? Just barely happening. So I think in that sense, it's the exception that proves the rule. If it took this much to get one conviction in a very clearly, in a very clear injustice, right? We had all the evidence all lined up, all perfectly, all the witnesses, everything, and national attention on it, and still just barely it eked through. What does that mean for all the places where the evidence is a little bit more marginal or a little bit less clear, or there isn't national attention or protest around this particular case? And I think if we look at the numbers, right, the overwhelming numbers that cops are not indicted and they're not convicted.
And even with that evidence you're speaking of, it was still this like, ooh, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Will really get convicted? I don't know. People are in pins and needles thinking, what's gonna happen? And it's like, there's a lot of people saying, well, he had to be found guilty. If not, the city would have burned. You know what I mean? The streets would have burned. Like, yeah, you're right. So it takes that much to get them to do a guilty verdict. But even still, in most cases, this is the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? Even with that, yeah. And it's like the protests. It's like, well, the protests are happening. It's like, well, when people like Kaepernick were kneeling, people were kneeling. It's like, oh, this is disrespectful to our country and our troops. How dare you protest quietly? Now you want to go burn stuff and demand that we do something about police, violence and stuff like that. How dare you? So it's like, what do you want people to do?
Nothing.
Qualified immunity has to end. Qualified immunity should no longer ever be a thing. You are not above the law. You have these rules at work. And when you're at work, if you break the rules, you're fired or you're reprimanded. I mean,
But Susie, in so many cases, they're not breaking the rules. They're performing exactly as they should be performing.
That was the defense's argument.
Right.
The defense's argument was that Chauvin actually followed police district policy.
And right, that's the problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
But when the bad cops then get fired, right? They can just go to another department.
Right.
They don't look at their past, and it's like, what? This guy was, fired for beating several inmates.
Yeah, he had 18, right? It was 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just went to another department after he got fired. Nobody cared to look into it. I mean,
yeah.
And then didn't they? Was it after the Floyd ruling, or was it after? I think it was that they flew the flag of the thin blue line. Was that them? Was that they who did that? Somebody did that after a case. The county or whatever raised the flag of the thin blue line.
Seriously, I didn't hear about that. Man, that's ridiculous.
But it's also worth pointing out that even before the verdict was read, like that, while the trial was going on, 2 more Black people were murdered by the police. I mean, it's almost like they want to send a signal.
One of them a few blocks away.
Yeah.
And wasn't there a sort of connection as well where George Floyd's girlfriend was the teacher to that man or something like this at some point in time, which was seen to highlight how it disproportionately affects the same communities again and again and again. Not like it's a random,
I mean, obviously we've been lynching in the United States since 1876, if not 1865. And then prior to that, we have this ugly mark, like one of the things that drives me nuts about taking down Robert E. Lee's statues. I also want to take down George Washington's statue. Like, why are we stopping with him? Let's just keep going. Let's roll this thing all the way back. But I think there was also a mindset change that took place in the 80s that took this up a notch. And I could be wrong about this. Probably a lot more research needs to be done. But when all the Reaganomics tax cuts went into effect in the 80s, and then it swept from the federal to the state to the city to the county, and everybody was doing it now because it was the craze. Taxes are evil. Because the libertarian fairy will fly over your countryside sprinkling road dust and school dust, and things will magically grow like mushrooms. Anyway, the same voters who had voted for the politicians who cut their taxes also wanted all the social services, all the policing. They wanted more policing. In fact, they wanted to quadruple the size of the police. They wanted, fire. They wanted schools. They wanted all that stuff. And so what happened was those counties and cities had to figure out how to get the voters what they wanted. And here's what they realized: the police could do it. The police could become basically the new taxing agency, and it would be a random tax. So it'd be like the lottery, except that you lose. And then they could take all that funding and pump it into their programs and support it. And of course, one of the things that they realized real quickly was that brown and Black people were a lot less likely to go to court and contest the tickets. And I think a whole extra predatory relationship was then established between the police departments and brown and Black communities that on top of the already existing racist lynch mentality mindset that we had.
The slave
They also
patrol.
have that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said the whole slave patrol sort of beginnings of policing in the US. So yeah.
And they're allowed to do that civil forfeiture or civil seizure and keep all of your stuff.
That's
I mean,
ridiculous. Yeah.
They can take your
Did you know? Yeah.
car.
I'm
Mhm.
gonna find the statistics, but civil forfeitures amount to, like, in quantity, more than all what is it? Like all Grand Theft Autos, all private home burglaries,
Yeah, find the
all of this
data.
combined.
Ramesh, find the
So
data and
ridiculous.
share it.
There
Yeah.
was a guy who was driving across country and he had $3,000 in his trunk and he was going to buy a new car and the cops pulled him over and he looked suspicious. He was brown. And so they decided to search his car because they smelled marijuana, which he did not have in the car. And they took that $3,000 and the car he was in and said, there is no reason for you to have this much cash on hand unless you're going to do a drug deal. And they just took it.
Call it
Y'all,
highway robbery.
it's just bad. It's bad.
Yeah, for
Well, so
civil
he-
asset forfeitures, more than all burglaries in the United States combined, civil asset forfeitures are higher in value. So more than $5 billion worth of civilian assets, oftentimes these are people who are never even convicted of a crime, are seized by police, never given back, even if they're found innocent of that crime or anything like this, even if they're never, no crime, are seized by cops across the country. This is more than all burglaries combined. So
I mean, it's like the cops kill 100 people a month that we think, right? That's the sociological estimate, right? That the cops are killing, because the cops don't have to report when they murder somebody. So some police departments do, some don't. So, but terrorists kill like 30 people a year. I think the solution is we put the terrorists in charge of policing our streets so we can get the fatality rates down.
Well,
I mean,
if you're
obviously
considering
The burglars need to
What
be in
about-
charge of our security because they're stealing less than the cops are.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I just think
Yeah.
we've got the wrong people.
And then also what counts as theft?
Yeah.
Because on the other hand, if you look at wage theft is a much, much, much bigger problem than all robberies combined. Bank robberies, residential
Yeah.
robberies, convenience store, gas station robberies, street robberies, all of this stuff that we put so much attention to, that we fearmonger over to, is less than the amount that employers are stealing from employees in wage theft. And then not having to pay for, right? They pay dimes on the dollar for this wage theft if they are ever, brought to account, which is, a lengthy, terrible process for these employees who don't have access to legal resources and month-long trials and all of this.
right.
And then to add one more weird thing, I don't think people realize this, but we have debtors' prisons in the United States.
Yeah, with the,
Texas has debtors' prisons.
yeah, with
I'm
the
waiting. I'm
cash,
just
cash
waiting.
bail, right? Cash bail. The
I
cash
mean, that's
bail.
no, there's
Right.
actual debtors' prisons on top of that. So it's not just that when you can't pay your bail. I mean, we hit you with a penalty. You can't pay it. We'll put you in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that any different than 19th century Charles Dickens England? I don't
Yeah.
It's
understand.
not. It's not at all.
Yeah.
And it's frightening. And I don't. And people aren't aware of this kind of stuff.
And
they
it's all
don't they don't pay
focused in the
attention.
justice system. It's all
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like saying that the saying that police are there to make sure capitalism is still there. Like we saw I don't know if you saw the video of the old woman who got her, she got beat by the cops pretty basic.
And then they
She had
made
dementia
fun
or
of
something.
her.
Did you see that? Yeah, they made fun of her. Yeah, exactly. And it's like all because it's like $13 or something like that from Walmart that she didn't pay for some item. But then Walmart is like, they called the cops anyway, and then they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna let you go. The cops still chased her down.
She was 73.
She had dementia. Yeah.
They broke her, they dislocated her shoulder, and it's because of capital. They got to protect capitalism. That's part of it too, as well. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then in the meantime, Mnuchin is stealing how many billions of dollars worth of bailout money in the aftermath of the 2008 economic crash. And what do? We make him Secretary of the Treasury.
Yeah, exactly. White collar crimes, they're okay.
They're okay. It's totally permissible.
Not a
Yeah.
bad thing. Oh, It was Minnesota after Dante Wright was shot and killed that the cops raised the thin blue line.
Oh wow. Well, I know what was it, the 16-year-old that the cop shot right after that? They said you know,
Yes.
when the community came out and you know they're saying, why did you do this, pretty much, is that, you know, blue lives matter to
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
community. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I
Well, that
I
happened.
wonder, has anyone seen a poll as to what the general public feels about the cops? Like, are most people afraid of them, or are most people like, oh yeah, no, they're doing okay. They've got a few bad apples.
Oh,
Um, I mean, I would think I'm terrified. I don't want to stop for the cops. I don't know what they're gonna do. I've seen so many things. I've watched so many documentaries of these cops pulling women over, usually of color, and raping them. You know, and I mean, it's like it just doesn't the abuse of power is just overwhelming. I
mhm.
don't why aren't we vetting these fucking people, you
We
know? I mean,
can't. The way these sort of machines and systems are set up is such that we can't vet them. The protections for cops when it comes to employment, when it comes to police associations, all of this make it so that it's really, really difficult. Even if you have city level support, mayoral support, all of these other kinds of support from your political leaders, it's still impossible to intervene in policing in a particular kind of way. You know, in addition to that, sheriffs are sort of right. They're not subordinate to mayors or to city councils. They sort of exist in parallel structure to them, which is, yeah, frightening.
Which is a
Yeah, it
reason to
is.
merge the counties and the cities.
Hmm.
There's no reason
Yeah.
to have these two separate entities or political entities other than just to make things like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and you need that piece too, because I mean, right? Trump signed an executive order saying, you know, hey, we're gonna track, you know, cops who do horrible, you know, things like, you know, kill people or like, you know, brutality and stuff like that. But the Democrats also posed in their same bill the same kind of thing. You know, we're gonna have a list, a database of you know, the same kind of deal. But I think you need that city or county, whichever entity, to help out in that regard as well.
And
So
to fight back collectively
mhm.
against Abbott and these kinds of things coming in and telling our city what we can and can't do, and how
Yeah.
threatening to put state police in our streets, you know.
Mm.
That's we've got if we had more, maybe the entire county saying, no, that's not what we do. You don't do that. You don't
Yeah, but
overrides,
mhm,
you know, local. What's the point in having a fucking local government?
mhm. That's what people want, though. They want police presence to be there. They're scared of property damage or whatever else, looting and downtowns losing value and all of this crap. And so they
Mhm.
want state police intervention, and we're back. Actually, I think, you know, happy to see that when it came to George Floyd protests in the Houston area, at least.
I think that's true along color lines.
Yeah.
I think
Yes. Sorry.
white Asian people
Yes.
want the police, but I
Yep.
think black people have learned that the
Yeah.
police are not their allies.
Yeah.
Also, well,
And then-
here's where the AM folks, Arab Muslims and Middle Easterners get, who are not black,
Yes.
get, or Latinx, get, here's the very strange, you just said whites and Asians, and I am constantly having to talk to folks. So many of my Iranian friends in Austin voted
For Prop B.
yes.
But
It is so, and there was no, I just stopped arguing even about it. It was
Did you see all
pointless.
the student ads?
Mm-mm.
These young women saying, I don't feel safe.
Oh,
with
the
this."
safety. Yeah, it was all about safety. Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
all women. It was all these young women. And I'm like, really?
I gotta ask, was it all white women?
No,
Mm.
No, okay.
no,
Just curious.
no. And they were very careful about that. So it was multiracial. There were like
Yeah.
3, I think.
It was
And
this. It was the same argument they did with the bathroom bill.
Yeah.
If transgender
Mhm.
people go into the bathroom, you'll be raped. It's like, wait, what?
Oh,
When has that ever happened? Like, what are you
You've been
talking
going to the
about?
bathroom
There's not
your whole life.
That's like the long game, right? That's the long game. I'm
The
gonna go through that
irony,
operation just so I can go to the restroom with women and rip them. That's
to
the
me, the
freaking long game.
irony
I'm gonna
is
have a
that,
surgery to remove my penis so I can see women pee.
well, there
It doesn't make sense.
honestly though, there are a lot of trans women who do not do that
That's true.
surgery.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true.
But
Exactly.
but they don't rape people.
No.
You
Like,
know,
there's
and the
never been a
fact is,
case.
Yeah, we know.
the
It's
fact
just
is
like
though, is that these
a ridiculous
women,
argument.
what they're
Yeah.
doing is they're making it easier for straight men to go into the bathroom of women's bathrooms, because you take a trans man, trans men look dead on like men. I mean, you give some testosterone, you get the beard, sometimes you get male pattern baldness. I mean, you bulk up. And so now you're telling this person, this woman, you think is a woman, you're saying as a woman who's actually a man, looks just like a man, to go into the women's bathroom. So now how easy is it for a man to just walk into the bathroom looking like a man? Instead, you want these men who you consider men, who are women dressed very much like women, who are taking testosterone blockers and taking estrogen, to have to go into the male restroom. Now that's where a fucking crime is going to happen.
It also, we constantly come back to this sort of like rhetoric around crime, and especially gendered crime and violence, right? We're so scared of rape, of street harassment, of these things occurring, and we use that to justify increased policing, to police women from, leaving homes and all of this stuff as well.
We're not being in the military.
Yeah, but if you look at it, right, the vast majority of rapes or these sort of things that occur within family or within friends and family. The vast majority of kidnappings that occur are people that the child had already known. And I think there's so much fear mongering that's used to justify policing of people's bodies that isn't true, right? The fear mongering isn't true.
And
Yeah.
then the people take it on, like the case of the school that I was talking about. Here are these black and brown admin who are like do atishe. They're like, it's a saying in Farsi. It's like they're two-flamed, like they're burning so fervently with fire to catch people. It's like the students are showing up to the classroom whether their fingers smell or not hot.
Mhm.
Okay, they are showing up early in the morning hot. And then they got friends in their cars coming in and out of the school. All sorts of stuff is happening. Why are you performing this exactly? What are you doing? Why are you doing
And
this?
if you ask, the answer that I've heard often is that, oh, it's because we have to prepare them for when police will do this for them, for the real world, when they will
Bullshit.
face discrimination, all of
Bullshit.
this shit. It is.
That.
Cops
That's a horrible
smell
argument.
fingers.
Haven't heard that. That's
Sir,
stupid.
please, I need you to put your hands out the window so I can smell your fingers.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll give them to you in a sec.
Yeah. I need to go to
I'm
the
not
restroom.
reaching for a
Hold on.
gun, I swear.
That's hilarious. It's not loaded if it is.
Oh my God.
So Ramesh brought up a really powerful point that I want to go back to just a sec, and it is the whole rhetoric of policing and justifying it, and how we keep putting it on rape, and this sort of fear mongering around rape. The irony is the same people who do this, the Republicans, are the guys who in 2012, 170 members of the House, all men, all Republican, voted to redefine rape, and they came up with this language of legitimate rape versus illegitimate rape. And so the guys who are trying to legalize rape, literally, and by the way, for the record, rape is totally legal in North Carolina, and on Native American reservations, it's not no enforcement of it. So and it's because of the Republicans, and because of those guys. The fear mongers around rape are the guys who are trying to make it legal.
Well, Roy, it's because they're not scared of just rape, right? They want rape within a marriage, within the family. All of this is a-okay, but a racialized rape is what they're scared of. They're afraid of white women being attacked by brown and black
That's
men.
exactly because in the meantime, when Betsy DeVos was Secretary of Education, she tried to get rid of all the stuff that the Obama administration had done around college campus rape.
Yep.
All you have to do is look at the Baylor case with Ken Starr when he was there. I mean, that kid raped that woman, until she passed out and woke up naked and vomit on her. She was still at the bonfire. She found her friend, went directly to Scott and White, did everything she was supposed to do. Cops arrested the guy. Judge let him off because it was his first rape.
Mm.
Wow.
Affluenza. Is that the affluenza kid?
Yeah.
Or is that the other
That's
one?
affluenza.
It was no, this
You
was
were
a while
born
back
rich.
when Ken Starr was still there. Yeah, exactly. It's just and of course he was affluent. He was a white boy who was going to a private school. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And this,
Right.
it's like they knew what happened. I mean, he did it and he was convicted, but the judge said,
Yeah, and it's only right a minority of cases that ever make its way to a hospital or to a courtroom
To begin with.
to begin with. Let alone those that are even reported on college campuses. It's only a small fraction of the actual cases that occur that are even reported. Then administration tries to hush it up as best as possible and bully survivors, and then that bullying takes place at each level to silence folks.
Yeah.
I think
And
Yeah.
talking about taking cases, I'm wondering what happens with the cops that stood around and watched Chauvin. Their cases is coming up. Their cases
That's
are coming
true.
up. I believe. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens there and we'll see what kind of precedent that might hopefully set across the country. It's like, hey, if you're gonna be a cop and watch your people, someone in your force, bully the community you're supposed to serve, then you're going to be held liable as well. So I'm hoping that's how that rules as well, and we'll see what happens.
That would
I
be
hope
amazing.
that's
Go.
true. Let's
Yeah,
put
All
good
right.
put good thoughts towards that.
yeah.
All right, on that note, folks, please take care of yourselves. It has been a tough conversation. Go take a couple of breaths, take a walk outside, do something.
It's a
And
nice day.
yeah. Any
Get
closing thoughts
vaccinated.
from the RPM team? Susie, let's go to you first.
As far as thoughts go, I am just hoping that that everybody does the right thing in the Don't Take Right case and etc. And I
Mm,
hope that the sentencing is really severe
mm.
for Chauvin.
Doctors Casagrande and Madanimijad, thoughts from y'all?
Thoughts are right before this, we went to People's Pharmacy and tried to get something for our anxiety. Both of us. That's where we are. So we will be reporting on y'all with the product that we got.
Make sure no one comes around to smell your fingers though when you're at work.
No, it's
FDA
it's
approved.
All right.
Yeah. Not that kind of People's Pharmacy. We actually have
I can
The people on the corner.
y'all let me
That's
know if
the
you need any
pharmacy.
help.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
I'm
All
the
right.
People's Pharmacy.
Dude, I don't want to say anything.
What were you gonna say?
We'll do it off
Good
air
luck,
after we
buddy.
end the recording.
No,
We'll talk.
don't.
We'll talk afterwards.
Okay,
Bye,
Roy
y'all.
Woody, you're closing.
We're
thoughts.
good. He's probably gonna make me play Minecraft. Yeah.
All
Good,
right.
good. The rest, you're gonna enjoy the rest of the day.
Lando, I'm giving you a hug. You sweetened up this show. You should come back.
Oh.
I'm giving you a kiss too.
Yay!
Thanks for calling you.
Oh.
And we're done.
All right, cut the recording.